All right, good morning, everyone. Today is May 6th. This is Zoology. I'm Mr. Sheridan. Hope everybody's having a good day. What we're going to do today is go over the back page, the additional practice calculations on our worksheet that we've been working on for a couple of days, where we've been formulating feed rations for chickens. So we've gone through and we've done our Pearson square, and we figured out what percentages of corn and soybean meal and vitamin and mineral mix we need to have in each ration. We will go through that calculation again, but for today, we're going to go through these 4 problems to start, and then we will go back through and do some additional practice so that we're all on the same page. So question number 1, we need to figure out how many pounds of each ingredient are needed to make 1,500 pounds of the starter diet. In order to solve that problem, we need to go back and figure out our answers to our Pearson square on this. Can somebody tell me the questions to number 6 on the page before? So we found out that in this feed ration, we're making 23% protein, corn or chicken feed protein. And in order to do that, we need what percentage corn? 53.986. Very nice. And we need what percentage soybean meal?
37.014.
Wonderful. If you add those up, they add up to 91, which means that we have 9% vitamin and mineral mix. Okay, so we're going to need that in order to do these problems on the back. So how many pounds of each ingredient, now that we know the percentages? So question number 1. Pounds of each ingredient. So we need corn. Somebody do this math for me, please. We're multiplying 53.986. And actually here, let's in 1,500 pounds. So we need to multiply 1,500 by 53.986. What do we get? You at least all did this yesterday. What's the answer?
800.
A little more clearly. Speak up, folks. Loud and proud. 810. Close enough? My sheet's actually a little more specific, and I can use it because I'm cheating. That's how it goes. Let's call it 809.79 pounds. Pounds of corn if we're making a 1,500 pound ration. We're multiplying 1,500 by 53.986. So soy meal, we need 555.21 pounds. Again, multiplying 1,500 times 37.014%. And how much vitamin and mineral mix?
135 pounds.
135 pounds. Perfect. Okay. So now we know how many pounds we need. Now we're going to start to figure out how much that is actually going to cost. So we need to know that a kilogram equals 2.2 pounds, and we need to know that there are 2,000 pounds in a ton. They give you that information. So the first thing that we need to do is we are using the charts that you have earlier in your worksheets that tells us how much these ingredients cost. So if we're looking at corn, we have a cost of $203.70 per ton. But the first thing we're going to do is convert that into pounds. So in order to do that, we're on question number 2. The first thing we're doing is we're taking 203.7 per ton divided by 2,000, because that's how many pounds are in a ton, which equals, we're going to round up here a little bit, 10 cents per pound. Is that close to what everybody got? I would imagine that it was a little bit higher than that, but we're going to round down. Should be 0.10 something, something, something. Fair enough? Really? Nothing? Did everybody do this?
I didn't do it that way.
What did you all do?
I converted the pounds into tons.
So you left it in tons, is what you're saying. Okay, great, which is totally fine. I think that we're going to continue to, so this is for corn. Okay. So we're going to leave it in pounds. For soybean meal, we are going to take $227 per ton divided by 2,000, which equals 11 cents per pound. And this is the kicker. For our vitamin and mineral mix, it's $5 per kilogram. $5 per kilogram. So we need to convert that to pounds by dividing it by 2.2, which equals $2.27 per pound for vitamin and mineral mix. Which means that stuff is really stinking expensive. In fact, it is the most expensive part of this ration, which is what we will continue to figure out here. So now that we have these converted into pounds, we already know how many pounds of each one of these things that we need. So now we're going to multiply this by 809.79 to figure out how much cost per pound or that this is how much money that we have invested in this. So it's $80.98. Is that pretty close to what we got? You guys did it a different way, but is that what you got? Okay. Then if we multiply our 11 cents times 555.21 pounds, we get $61.07 in soybean meal. And then we've got $2.27 times 135, which is how many pounds of vitamin and mineral mix we need, which equals $306.45. Again, what, 4, 5, 6 times what it costs to put corn and soybean meal in. So our vitamin mix is obviously very, very important. So then when we add those three things together, we're adding 306.45, 61.07, and 80.98. When we add all those things together, we get total feed costs of $448.50. Went through a lot there. Kira, did you follow me through that? Did that sort of kind of almost make sense? How we get to this answer for number 2? This is the total feed cost for number 2. Damian, you with me? Yes, kind of, sort of, almost? Okay, great. All right, question number 3. How many bushels of corn and how many bushels of soybeans are needed to make 1,500 pounds of the starter diet? Use the conversion factor below to help with the answer. 1 bushel of corn equals 54 pounds, and 1 bushel of soybeans equals 60 pounds. So we already know how many pounds of feed that we need. So for question number 3, we're going to use these same numbers. So for number 3, for corn, we're multiplying 800. Or actually, we're going to divide that by however many pounds a bushel of corn is, which is 54. Which equals 14.996. So basic bushels of corn. Is there anybody who does not see how I got that? We're finding the amount of bushels of corn and soybean meal that we need. So then for soybean meal, we've got 555.21. We're going to divide that by 60 because it takes 60 bushels of soybeans to make this soybean meal. And we get 9.254 bushels of soybean meal. Okay, which is the answer. That's all we got to figure out for number 3. For number 4, we're going to change things up a little bit. And we've got to do a Pearson square. So I need the board space. I'm going to erase this. Does anybody have any questions about this? Would anybody like to come up and take a picture of this so you can reference it later? This is being recorded, so you can go back and watch this in the instructional video. Seeing none, we're now going to proceed to vote. Okay. So for number 4, what is different about that calculation in number 4 than the one that we did before? Josh, what's different about that, the calculation in number 4 on the back page than what we've done?
It's 8% instead of 9.
It's 8% instead of 9. Exactly. That's exactly what I was looking for. Okay. Okay. So the only thing that is changing is that we need to, instead of 9% of the vitamin and mineral ration, only 8% is going to be vitamins and minerals. And given the cost of that stuff, probably not a terrible idea. So if you can still get them the nutrients that they need. Oh, we do have one different, hang on. Never mind, there's one other difference too. Somebody read that very first sentence in number 4 for me.
You're doing the finisher diet instead of the starter diet.
We're using the finisher diet instead of the starter diet. Very nice. What is the difference between the finisher diet and the starter diet?
20% protein.
20% protein instead of 23. So it's going to change things a little bit. And we're using blank percent corn. We're using blank percent soybean meal. And we're using 8% vitamins and mineral mix. Okay. So as we get started, we first need to figure out our protein requirement. So what we need to multiply is this. We need to multiply 20%. If I could write it too. So we're multiplying 20%. Well, excuse me, we're dividing it by 92.92 because that's the percent of our diet that actually has protein in it. So 20 divided by 0.92 is 21.74. Which is our adjusted protein requirement. Meaning that now that we've taken out the ingredients that don't have any protein in them, we got to figure out how much of the actual protein requirements are going to be used. And then we draw our square. We've got 21.74 in the middle. Got our fancy little arrows here. We start with soybean meal, which is 49% protein, and corn, which is 9% protein. We find the difference between these two things, and we find out that 74 parts soybean meal. Again, that number comes from subtracting 9 from 21.74. Gives us 12.74 parts parts of soybean meal. And then we find the difference between these two numbers, which is 27.26. When we add these two numbers together, we still get 40 parts. So when you divide those numbers, 12.74 divided by 40. Equals 31 but we need to take out our, it didn't factor back in our point. So this is going to give us the percent of the protein requirement. So that's going to give us 31.85. And then this one down, the corn part, is going to give us 27.26 divided by 40 equals 68.15. When you add those two numbers together, you get 60, 90, you get 100. So we need to multiply these numbers by 0.92 in order to get them back to where, so we need to actually multiply this by 0.92 and multiply by 0.92 to get the percentage of the total ration. And I actually don't have those numbers. Anybody do that math? Did you multiply 0.92 back in? Where did you get there?
For the soybean 90 or 29.3.
Great.
And then 62.7.
62.7. Close enough. Fantastic. That gets us to 92% of our ration. And then our other 8% comes from vitamins and minerals. Questions about this? Okay, that should get you everything that you need to answer number 4. So now we've come up with the percentages that we need for our both the starter and the finishing ration for chickens. And what I'm going to do is give you another problem. I'm going to put it in Google Classroom. You're going to probably need a separate piece of paper in order to write down some of the math. But I just want the answer. But does anybody want this anymore to show you how to do this? Again, it's going to be in an instructional video online, so you're welcome to use that. But I'm going to give you one more problem to do that's like this, and then we'll be done with Pearson squares for a little bit anyway. Yes, sir.
I need to try to get caught up sometime.
I understand. I'll come back and help you, Brian. We'll see if we can get this to you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Anybody else want this? Okay. Then what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to put this on as a question in Google Classroom, is I want you to formulate a 22% corn ration. Excuse me, a 22% ration for chickens is what I meant. For chickens that uses 7% vitamin and mineral mix. And I want you to calculate using the data that you had on this worksheet. I want you to calculate the cost. Cost of corn, soybean meal, and vitamin and mineral mix. If you don't know how to do this, you are going to struggle next week on your summative. So please ask me for help while you're coming up with this. This is all the information that you should need combined with the worksheet that you have that you'll have to go back and find some information about. But you should be able to solve that entire problem and come up with the ration and the cost of each thing based on the information that you have. If you need some help going through it, I'm happy to help you, but you need to ask for help today.